Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I want to make a video about some of the problems that I have with Bitcoin Lightning. So for those that are new to my channel, the goal of my videos is to help you debank. And what debanking means is to reduce your reliance on centralized financial institutions by using cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency has a lot of properties that allows you to own your own funds, because when you have fiat funds in a bank, and when you've got fiat in general, you don't actually own your own money. But when you have cryptocurrency, you actually own it, and you're the true custodian of your funds. I'm not into shit coining. This isn't really about a channel about how to 100x your money. And I love Bitcoin. So those are the primary themes of my channel. So to me, Bitcoin was meant to be used for a very specific purpose. It was meant to be used as a peer-to-peer means of exchange, and Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. No government owns it. It doesn't have any central point of interest or failure. Basically, it's decentralized, but you're meant to actually use it. And I wanted to pull this up here because a lot of people, and I don't blame you for this, I'm not playing the blame game, but a lot of you haven't actually read the white paper. But it's important to understand what the philosophical underpinnings of Bitcoin's purpose. Bitcoin, so this is the white paper. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is required to prevent double spending. So one of the big things about Bitcoin that's so valuable is that it's not required to have a third party facilitate a transaction. If I want to send funds to someone, I can send it directly from point A to point B. Whereas if you use a bank, or say something like PayPal, if I'm sending funds to you, I'm not sending the funds directly to you. I'm sending funds to the institution, who then sends it to you, basically. So where my beef comes in is the fact that I have a beef with Bitcoin maxis. I've made some videos about them in the past. So I'm deeply enmeshed in the crypto community, and I've been a part of the various types of niche crypto communities. You've got the P2P community, which is something I'm really a big part of. There's the DeFi, / Ethereum community. And there's the NFT community, and then of course you've got the Bitcoin maxi communities who kind of hate everyone except themselves. Their belief is that Bitcoin should be the only cryptocurrency that exists, and everything else is basically trash. Now, the problem that I have with Bitcoin maxis is that they don't actually use it. So for someone that's a peer-to-peer seller, someone that does this as a service for other people, someone that has embarked very seriously on the goal of debanking and making sure that I can actually use my Bitcoin for the purpose of trading with other people. Like if you watch my videos, you know that I make money in Bitcoin. I pay I pay salary to the people that work for me in Bitcoin. I accept funds via clients in Bitcoin. I sell Bitcoin. I do all these things in Bitcoin, and I'm able to keep it completely on chain. However, what's interesting is that I don't actually use Bitcoin for any of these transactions. When I pay my workers, I don't send them Bitcoin. I send them USDT TRC20. I send them USDT via the TON network, via Solana. When I buy things online, frequently you can do so with crypto, but you're going to use something like Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash because these have very low transaction fees, and they're very quick. Imagine if I want to buy something online and I have to use Bitcoin. The vendor's going to have to wait 30-40 minutes, and maybe there's a spike in the fees. Who knows? That person could wait days or even weeks for the transaction to arrive. All while if fees spike, I could spend huge amounts of money on that. So the reality is Bitcoin is just simply impractical to use for its original purpose, which is supposed to be a peer-to-peer means of trading. Very few people trade Bitcoin for the as in not like trade it as buying and selling it for this purpose of speculation. Sorry, that's what most people do. So I got my words minced there. Most people buy Bitcoin for the purpose of selling it at a later date. This is something that Peter Schiff is actually right about, even though I disagree with him on 99% of things. Most people, unfortunately, buy Bitcoin simply to sell it at a higher price. This is what institutions do, and the average person has not held Bitcoin through one bear cycle, right? People ideally just try and sell it because they think the price is going up. Now, the irony is that this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be buying Bitcoin and then using it. You're supposed to use your cryptocurrency for as a replacement for fiat currency. You're supposed to be doing all the normal activities you're supposed to do just on cryptocurrency. Now, I've found a way to do that, and it's very simple, right? So there's many things you can buy online. And then there's crypto payment processors, right? They technically give the option to pay in Bitcoin, but if you're going to buy something online for $10, why would you spend like roughly the same amount on Bitcoin fees, and it's going to take a long time? You're just going to want to use Litecoin. When you're sending funds to someone that works for you, why would you send them anything other than like a stable coin where it's going to arrive really quickly and the fees are really low, right? So it's just extremely impractical to use Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin maxis hate it when I would tell them things like this. I'm just telling them the straight up facts that Bitcoin is mostly unusable in practical, like when you're actually trying to practically utilize it, it just doesn't fulfill what it's supposed to do. And they get very upset by this because I'm using other things as a replacement. I'm using all these old coins. Even though I don't hold it, I'm just simply like using it as a tool to get my funds from point A to point B, to fill in the gaps, fill in some of the weaknesses of Bitcoin, and as a result, they don't like me for it. They call me a shitcoin, and I've always been incensed by the arrogance and the pig-headedness of Bitcoin maxis, because clearly there's a problem with Bitcoin. They don't use it. They're not living in the real world. I like to call them Bitcoin boomers, because they have their idea of Bitcoin is very idealized, and they're not really using it for its practical purpose. Right? They just want to hold it, and they want to use it as a store of value, which you can do it for that, and I do the same thing. However, at the same time, they're disconnected from its actual practical purpose, which is a peer-to-peer means of exchange. So to effectively use it, you can use Bitcoin, but you now have to use Bitcoin Lightning. So for a long time, the argument for the scalability of Bitcoin was that one day Bitcoin Lightning is going to come out, and Bitcoin Lightning has been something in the works for like a really long time, like 6-7 years. And all those years ago, I remember a Bitcoin maxis telling me like, you're wasting your time with using alts to transfer funds. You should just be using you just wait until we've got Bitcoin Lightning, wait until like this is something that's effective. And that time has finally come. The problem that I have with Bitcoin Lightning is that fundamentally it's if you want to use it, it's custodial. So what does custodial mean? So when you're using a Bitcoin wallet, frequently there's a company out there that set up the infrastructure to allow people to use Bitcoin Lightning on their network, right? So they have to set up all these nodes, they have to manage it, and then when you send funds to this wallet, on-chain funds, Bitcoin, right? They're holding that Bitcoin for you, they're basically custodian of your funds, no different to an exchange. And if you want to send funds via Bitcoin Lightning, they have become a third party. So instead of before where you'd send funds from point A to point B directly peer-to-peer, you're essentially sending your funds to a custodian, to someone who's going to be a custodian of your funds. That's the third party. That's the Bitcoin Lightning wallet. Then they're essentially going to send it on behalf to you. Now, again, if I go back to what it says in the Bitcoin white paper, this is what it says. The benefits are lost if a trusted third party is required to prevent double spending. So the whole purpose of Bitcoin was to get around the limitations of third parties and the fact that they are essentially reducing the security of the network. But Bitcoin maxis, who are completely against the problems of altcoins, which are very valid, and I hate pretty much all altcoins, right? With a very few exceptions. I'm all with them on that. But the irony is, there's a mental gymnastics, a backflipping of their ideology when they say that somehow, for some reason, Bitcoin Lightning is okay, even though they're going to be a custodian. Like most of the wallets are going to be the custodians of their funds. So many people will then say, well, so many people are going to say, well, look, not all wallets require, some of them are non-custodial, right? And I'm a big fan of non-custodial wallets and non-custodial exchanges and stuff like that. Let me get out of the way here. And I want to show you, like, here are like some of the top Bitcoin Lightning wallets, and here are some of the problems that I have with them, right? Okay, so first we're going to go to the top, and I'm going to go to the most popular, the most used Bitcoin Lightning wallet, the one that all the Bitcoin maxis are using, is one called Wallet of Satoshi. And Wallet of Satoshi is actually very good, but let's be real, it's as centralized and it's as much of a custodian of your funds as Binance or any of these other centralized exchanges. They have very low fees. You can send your Bitcoin on chain to their platform, and then you can send it as Lightning. But there's two really big problems. The first is that when you send on-chain funds, when you send your Bitcoin to this Lightning wallet, it's going to cost you a fee of 0.5%. That's expensive. That's like really expensive. That's like 5 times the cost of like a spot transaction fee of like 0.1%, which you usually get on like Binance, right? That's extremely expensive. And on top of that, it's non-custodial, right? So what if something happens to them, right? You could lose all your money. You could technically lose all your money. And Bitcoin maxis might have some cope about, oh no, actually it's safe. But again, it's the mental backflipping that I hate about Bitcoin maxis. They're all for like, you know, wanting to have like the perfect system. You know, they love Bitcoin. They hate everything else because Bitcoin's the only decentralized thing. They hate third parties. But for some reason, it's okay for Bitcoin Lightning. But then they might say, well, look, there are non-custodial wallets out there. Like this one here, there's Breeze. There's another one called Moon that I've used. Now, the problem with these non-custodial wallets, so I use Moon, for instance. So first I'll say what's good about Moon, just for instance, right? It's a place where it's a Bitcoin wallet where you can send funds on chain, and you can also send funds Bitcoin Lightning. This is really necessary because if you've got just a Bitcoin Lightning wallet, you need to turn those your Bitcoin. You need to have the Bitcoin that's on chain, and then you need to get it onto a wallet that accepts both on-chain transactions and Lightning transactions, right? Because if you've got it on-chain, you can't just send your Bitcoin to a Lightning wallet. You've got to first send it to a Lightning wallet and and one that accepts on-chain transactions. So then you can then turn it into, you can send it via Lightning, right? So Moon is one of those wallets that does that. However, let's how much does it cost? Because Bitcoin Lightning was posited as something that should cost like less than a cent. However, if you use services like Moon, it's in JPY, so I need to explain like what you're seeing here. This is around like $2. Maybe like in US it's like $1.70. And I was in Tokyo and I was buying something. Right? So I bought a meal in Bitcoin. It was one of these Bitcoin cafes. And I was able to use Bitcoin Lightning to make a transaction, which I was really excited about. And this is one of my first times using Bitcoin Lightning. The meal is 2,600 yen, which is like $23, right? But the fee is like $1.70. Sorry, not $23. This is around $17 USD. And the fee that I paid was around, I guess $1.60. Right, so what is that? Maybe like 7% of my transaction was in fees. This is absolutely absurd. And when I went to a Bitcoin Maxi meetup, they're like, oh, well, you got the wrong wallet. You shouldn't be using this one. But this is one of the few wallets that is actually legit because you can, because it's non-custodial, so they don't actually own your funds. The problem is if you use wallets like this, it just costs more. If you're going to use something like Wallet of Satoshi, it's completely custodial. And this is basically the only way to get around the ridiculous fees. And as I mentioned, the reason why something like the reason why something like let me get rid of this. The reason why Wallet of Satoshi can be so cheap, you have to think about it like this. Bitcoin, it can be expensive because you're sending funds from point A to point B. You have to pay the transaction fee, right? But when you're dealing, when someone's dealing on Wallet of Satoshi, you're sending funds to them, and then they're sending funds to this other person, and this person's also on the Lightning Network. They might even be on Wallet of Satoshi as well. So in a way, they're just sending funds to themselves, right? Because all these Bitcoin maxis are using Wallet of Satoshi. It's the most popular one. So this custodial wallet is basically just sending funds to itself. So of course the fees are extremely low, right? If you use one bank to send funds to someone else who's also using the same bank, yeah, of course it's going to be free, right? But this is completely killing the purpose of what Bitcoin was supposed to be used for, right? So that's my rant over. If you like this channel, make sure to subscribe. If you want to get updates about how to debank, how to get the most out of your crypto, yeah, make sure to check out this channel because I'm one of the very few channels that actually talks about things like this. And make sure to check out the sponsor of my channel. That's Local CoinSwap and HODL HODL. These are places where you can buy Bitcoin without KYC, and unlike some of these Bitcoin Lightning wallets, these exchanges are actually non-custodial, so they don't hold your funds on the exchange. And to me, peer-to-peer trading is the way of the future. Centralized exchanges, they're going to not just ask for your KYC, they're also going to do a number of other things that are going to be very problematic when it comes to your anonymity. You have to provide all this information to them, and that is ultimately compromising the security of your cryptocurrency. It's de-anonymizing, right? So you're going to want to use non-KYC, non-custodial, peer-to-peer trading platforms like the ones I recommended. So make sure to use my referral links in the description down below. And if you want to do the same thing but for Monero, which is something I'm also a big fan of, you can use my referral links in the description down below for BitValve and BitPapa. These are places where you can buy Monero without any KYC. And yeah, so thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.